It's time for another quickie edit. In this series, this sex educator edits romance books. Hi, I'm Janelle. I'm a sexual health expert reader, a certified sex educator, and a romance book lover. And in this quickie edit series, I take a line or two from popular romance books and identify some of the expansive, unconscious sexual health messages that are being promoted, and I share a tiny edit that will make them more empowering and liberating for readers. So when it comes to the sexual health messages in romance books, the spice is truly just the tip of the iceberg. And in reality, every layer of a romance book shares these expansive sexual health messages, right? These messages might be related to sexual knowledge or body image or relationship dynamics or cultural norms or consent or sexual scripts. Whatever it is, every layer of a romance book shares sexual health messages. And oftentimes these messages unconsciously uphold toxic narratives. So my goal as a sexual health expert reader and in these videos is to help authors identify what these messages are and then to provide feedback and how they can intentionally write stories that subvert toxic, harmful narratives. The passage for this video comes from a football romance, and I have altered the phrasing a bit from the exact text from the book to make sure that the authors and the book titles stay anonymous. My goal is not at all to call authors out, especially since every book that I use for this series has these incredibly subversive, empowering messages, and they're from authors that I absolutely am obsessed with. And so really not trying to call anyone out. We're just here to hopefully grow and learn together. So context for this scene is that a couple is engaging in non-penetrative sexual activity. So the quote is something like, "Sex is great, but I've always loved foreplay more. It's intimate, a chance to get to know your partner and to learn what they like." All right, so let's look at what are the sexual health messages here. So right away I see that we've distinguished that sex is this one thing and foreplay is something else, which connected to that, it also upholds this idea that real sex is penetration, rather than having this expansive definition of sex and having all of the sexual activity under the umbrella of sex. So if we want to shift this to not promote the singular definition of sex, so we can say, I like penetration, but I like all of the other parts of sex so much more. It's intimate, a chance to get to know your partner and learn what they like. Okay, so let's think about this and let's see what are the sexual health messages. So right away, it shares this really expansive definition of sex, and it expands what we would classify as sex. And then connected to that, it shifts the goalpost for what makes sex an enjoyable and a valuable experience, right? Rather than setting that idea that penetration is the end all be all, it gives us a much more expansive goalpost of what would make sex pleasurable. And then connected to that, when we move beyond just sex being penetration, it really helps legitimize that for many people, penetration is not pleasurable, right? And I have other videos diving into that, but you can look at that. All right, so again, really tiny edit, doesn't change the essence of the scene at all. It still is helping us understand who the characters are, what they enjoy, how they're connecting, all of those elements, but it drastically shifts the sexual health messages and makes them much more empowering and liberating for readers. So what do you think about this edit? If you have something that you'd like me to look at, drop it in the comments and I'll make a video on it. Until then, I'll see you in the next video.